All right, so let's first talk about what it was like jumping into this Marvel universe.
Sebastian Stan, and you're watching Karmaloop TV.
In all of your research, what did you find the most appealing thing with Bucky?
I really liked that it mentioned that he was doing the dirty work for Captain America, because that meant that he was fighting, on these missions in a very different way. And he was, what I mean by dirty work is like he wasn't, he was, there was a part of him that was a stone cold killer, and I think that came from somewhere. And I was just really interested to know where that came from. And I wanted to make sure that hopefully there's a color of that in it. I grew up in Romania until I was 8. I also grew up in Vienna until I was 12.
Because it seems like he's toying with the idea of, my God, I've never been a wingman.
Oh, who? Steve or me? Or my character? Yeah, no, I don't think he thinks of himself as a wingman. I think he thinks of himself much more as a leader. But, obviously that's the funny thing, because later on, when suddenly you're like, I guess maybe I'm a wingman now, shit. It's like, what the hell just happened?
It's 70 years of history, Bucky Barnes, right? Now, how did you research for that?
Well, it's tough, because I don't know. I mean, sometimes, it's about the fans, really, and certain people, really like the Winter Soldier story. Other people like for him to just constantly be, to be dead. And then, so it's like, well, so I kind of went everywhere I could find, and I just sort of picked out different things that really made sense to me about the character in relation to what the script was allowing me to do. Because it really was about what was on the page, and I wanted to respect the writers. I started acting when I was about 15, 16 years old, and I went to Stage Door Manor, which is this camp in the Catskills. It was a little overwhelming. Obviously, it looked like a little bit like the Death Star, kind of at first, and you kind of felt like very, very puny and tiny. Once you got past that, and once you accepted your place in it, then it just kind of it was like opening a door of just like a big candy store,
Yeah.
Yeah, just being very giddy about it.
The feature we run in every issue.
Right, but many fans will take it as an homage to Winter Soldier, don't you think?
I hope so.
The narrative arc that...
I hope so, because I personally really like that story. But it's for a lot of other people to decide as well.
Antenna Magazine, we're doing our first look with Sebastian Stan, and it is our dressiest summer look. It is from the spring-summer runway, Ferragamo, and I've paired it with a John Varvatos scarf and Zaham Berlin shoes.
Benefits and or drawbacks of being Captain America's best mate?
It doesn't all rely on my shoulders, thank God. And then, you might not be seen as in the same light.
Hi, we're back on our second look. He is wearing a short suit. It's a big trend for summer, and he's wearing All Saints. His shirt is Rogue, and the boat shoes are a really great distressed leather beat-up boat shoe by All Saints as well. We're back with our...
Did you have some reaction from fans when you were shooting it, or friends were kind of fans?
I gotta tell you, I feel like you might be 1 out of 40 people that have seen this movie. Okay.
Not about the movie, but about the fact that you were playing in Captain America. That
oh
people
yeah,
come to you and say,
no, it was very nice. Of course, I have a lot of friends that grew up with the comic book, and they were very they were inquisitive and sort of very supportive and excited about it. So and that made me excited. So I want to make them happy.
It is a loose gauge John Varvatos knit sweater over a Juma silk t-shirt. The chinos, the wash chinos, are by a brand called Closed, and the shoes came from a company called Tween. We're back with our fourth look.
Congratulations on your role in this. My gosh, I thought you did such a great job.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. How much of a Marvel geek are you, or were you before you took this on?
I was familiar with their work, and obviously, you know, Iron Man and some of the other movies that they've done, Spider-Man, of course. But I hadn't read any of the comic books, so for me it was still kind of new.
Print from Berkman Brothers, and the shorts are Fred Perry. He's wearing Keds. Everybody loves Keds. I'm a huge fan. And the hat is by a company called Xanarobe. My favorite part is the shirt. Screams Summer Beach to me, which is where I want to be.
You know Steve Rogers when you were little kids. How was he? Was he a fighter guy like you, or how was he?
No.
No. So he was big as you?
No.
Okay. So, Bucky. Can I call you Bucky?
No.
So Mr. Barnes, maybe? Yes. Mr. Barnes, when you saw Captain America the first time, what did you think?
We have a striped nautical long sleeve t-shirt by All Saints paired with rogue white denim jeans, bark shoes, and a lightweight zip-up jacket by Assembly. I really love the jacket by Assembly. He's a small independent designer, and I love a nautical stripe.
And so when you dove into your role, I understand that you really didn't dive into the comic books. You studied, World War II films and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I did go into the comic books, but for me it was important what I, instinctively to just approach it from, without reading kind of what was already there. I just wanted to find what I could relate to it separately and then kind of go back and see what people knew about this person. Mm-hmm. And so for keeping my thoughts in a real place, that's why I wanted to go to World War II and all those things, because I thought they were still just as vital in the movie.
Absolutely.
What do people think when you walk down the street like this? Do they think that you might possibly suffer from dementia?
Do what?
Dementia.
No.
Disillusionment?
No.
Memory loss?
No.
Displacement out of reality?
No.
How about crazy?
No.
Okay, that's good. So you're generally a very happy person.
See, of course, I'm a very happy person, and I'm happy to be a superhero.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
We have him wearing a lightweight knit cardigan from Pressed, a t-shirt from 18 Weights, it says XO New York, and the shorts are from ASOS, and we have just flip-flops from Lacoste. The sunglasses he's wearing are Paul Smith.
Does the size of the production change the way you play your character?
No, nothing should change the way you play a character other than you and the director. You're not. If you're doing this for a result-driven, initiative, then I think you're almost always going to end up, in a black hole. So I think you do it for you. I think you do it for the fans, but the magnitude of what you're acting in shouldn't change. I mean, that's like being said of doing an independent film. I don't need to act as much. I mean, you know what I mean? So no. Why I wanted to do it. The character that I'm playing in Captain America, he's he's sort of like the older brother, kind of like ideal sort of role model figure for.
Is it important at this point in your career to have a big movie like this one?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's 2011. Maybe in 1982 things would have been very different. But but right now, I mean, absolutely. I'm happy that I had a chance to play a character like that, and obviously I've never been a part of anything this big, and I'm excited. We'll see what happens. I don't know. What's more important, what you want to do with your life, or whether or not you should live a life that you've grown to believe was supposed to be yours.
The comics are kind of millions, if I can say billions of followers all over the world. Was that an extra pressure on set?
No, I mean, you know, it's just, I think everyone in the back of their minds was always like, you know, oh, we're making a movie. You know, I mean, you do the best you can, you know. You do an interpretation. You can't make everyone happy, you know. I mean, I think, I like to think that I think a lot of people, a lot of fans of this character are going to be satisfied, you know, and they're going to have their expectations met. But obviously, you never know. And pressure, you know, I wouldn't say so. I would say much more, you know, God, I really hope, like, people see it the way we see it, you know. Yes.
If you would have superpowers, Mr. Bucky Barnes, what
Yeah.
superpowers would you like to have?
Maybe the ability to
Answer questions.
teleport myself.
And then, of course, Bucky is best friends, confidant, everything to Steve, you know, / Captain America.
Yeah.
So when you first met Chris, you know, what was that bonding like? Did you guys hit it off right away?
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. You know, he's I mean we're both, I think, very outgoing people. We're open to ideas and to trying new things. I mean, you know, on set I felt very comfortable with him. I mean, he was, and him as a person, I think, carries a lot of the qualities, obviously, that is in Captain America. So I mean, he's very easy to get along with.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why you thought he made the perfect Captain America.
I just think he naturally exudes a certain kind of leadership quality about him. I think he's the kind of guy that's, you know, he's not afraid to step up to the plate. I mean, from what I've seen, you know, and I thought that, you know, that's a very particular inherited trait that you have to have, I think.
A lot of appreciation that you develop for everybody and everyone's job. If I had to kill a cartoon figure, it'd probably be like, who's that, like, yeah, Roadrunner. I feel like I always wanted to kill Roadrunner when I was little, and I just couldn't, because he always just got away. Either that or 3 Little Pigs. And how? Oh God, just with bow and arrow.
It was interesting. I actually thought it was really hard, you know, because it was the thing that, you know, naturally isn't actually trying to just sound, you know, as real and natural as possible, but you can't do that with a video game. And so it kind of had the feeling of, like, you know, you had to kind of raise the stakes and then make it a little bit more like like you were in like a 1925 movie, you know.
Yeah.
Just like talking like this, and then like, let's go get it. You know? You know,
Would they give you a lot of adjustments? Like,
yeah, they did. I mean, but you know, it's heightened again. It's a video game, and then so that was I'd never been a part of that. That was a neat experience.
Your character is kind of difficult because he's his best friend, but then again, at the beginning, he's his protector, he's kind of a big brother, and then it's become kind of jealous of him. Would you, but he's still his best friend. Would you say that it's playing on a different level?
I think, you know, yes, I hope so. I mean, the idea was that it, you know, that there's multiple layers and feelings and things, you know, and I think it would be strange for Bucky to suddenly just go, oh yeah, of course,
Well,
you know, yeah, why not? You know, I just think it's kind of weird to sort of just, you know, I think, you know, you're seeing the relationship the way it was, and you're seeing it go a different route. And I think there has to be a moment where there's an acceptance of that. And so I think that feelings like that were appropriate. Well, that's good.
What attracted you to making the film? Give us the genesis of it.
Other than the fact that I wanted a job, I mean, you know, just I've never been a part of a comic book movie. I've never done a movie that was a period movie like this. I mean, there were a variety of different things. You know, obviously working with Joe Johnston was going to be super fun, and so it was a lot of things like that. And then the character was really interesting to me.
There's just a feeling when you walk on set and you see so many people that are working in such a big crew, and everyone's just got a certain job, and you're just...
Yeah, were you upset that you didn't get to take your shirt off?
No. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it's okay.
It doesn't bother you at all that he gets to walk around, and show off what he's done?
No, but I mean, it's always nice when you have a reason, to work out and so on, because you're like, oh, okay, I have a goal, so I can, it makes you work harder. I feel like so, but I think that he only, because I knew he was working out so hard, it only inspired me to kind of wanted to keep up and
step up to the plate. You have to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's that moment where, the two of them and your character is, I'm not going to say a ladies' man, but comfortable in his own skin around the ladies.
Well, I mean, the characters have known each other for such a long time. They grew up together, so I think there's an element of the brother kind of competitive thing. I think in that situation, my character's very comfortable showing off to him, and just sort of kind of trying to get him to, to see that, maybe try thinking about this as opposed to holding a gun. I don't know. Maybe this is what people do. They have hormones.
They have
hormones.
Hormones. Yeah.
Yes.
Those things.
Yeah.
Joe Johnston, the director, has given you, I think, an ultimate compliment that I was reading about, comparing you to a young Marlon Brando. And my goodness, what do you think, when you hear something like that? And now you're going to be in View from the Bridge playing, is this correct, in a role?
Yes.
I mean, oh my goodness. So talk about being, compared to Brando, my goodness.
I don't know. It's really weird. Part of me just kind of doesn't. I'm very grateful for what he said. I mean, Joe was obviously from the beginning just a great supporter, and it's just been nothing but a force for me. And so the fact that he said that is just obviously I'm really happy, and hopefully then I guess I got to live up to the words.
When you're in a movie of this kind of magnitude. Like the budget's $1 million. Do you sit around and does it all dawn on you? I better do a good job, or are you able to put that aside?
No, I mean it starts out realistically like that. I really I don't want to get fired. But I think at some point you think about. In my opinion, most of the work actually happens before you even get the part, and then before you even start shooting. So on the day that you show up, it's kind of, you're just ready to go because you've done so much preparation. So you just sort of have to let it go and get out of your own way.
And what do you think, how far have video games come in terms of when you were a kid watching video games and now they're so, animated and there's so much work gone into them. What are your thoughts on that?
They're so incredibly real. I was thinking, what was the one that was like Men of Honor? No,
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Medal of Honor. And
yeah,
they're just so real. I mean, I remember when I grew up, my big thing was I was always just playing basketball video games. And then I went into Warcraft and Warcraft 2 and all those war strategy games on the computer, but there was nowhere near what's, you're basically living a double life.
Exactly. I can do this in the gaming, but now I've got to be a human being. I can't really do that.
Yeah, I have a friend. I'll call him up and I'll be like, "Where you been for the last week?" And he'll be like, "Oh, I've just been building this empire." And you're like, "Oh, wow, okay." So, it's understandable.
Every hero needs a posse, and there's a great moment where Captain America assembles the team.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a very that team is iconic in the comic books. You got the. J.J. Fields plays Falsworth, who has his own kind of through line in the comic books, and I mean Dum Dum Dugan. They're all part of it, so it had to happen.
So another cool thing they're bringing into gaming is 3D, which also, Captain America was shot in 3D. What are your thoughts on 3D and in terms of movies and video games?
It's fun. I think it works with the right movies. I think it has that feeling a little bit of kind of like making you a little bit more into the world.
Yeah.
And things coming at you, and I think it has to do with something that's very visually. I could see with this the shield, it's just coming all the way that he throws a shield, it's just flying past you.
Yeah.
So I think it's exciting. I think it's cool.
So how many other guys were going for it? How much work did it take to get a part like this?
Actually, at the time that I was I got this part. I don't think anybody went out. I don't know. I'm not sure because I always went out for the Steve Rogers role. So you know, I never knew who was going out or what was happening with this role. So you know, I just found out about it.
I could see that, and he's sort of brooding. There's a certain element of darkness to him.
Well, I think, you know, Joe was encouraging that, and I was very happy with that. I mean, instinctively, I responded to it. I mean, it's just he was written a certain way, you know, and he was written to, you know, he loves Steve Rogers and Captain America, but at the same time, you know, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're this guy that comes in a suit suddenly and, you know, things are just gonna get better. Have you ever seen someone's head blown off? You know what I mean? I think he's very real about certain things.
So this film, though, it takes place at a time that may be quite unfamiliar to, like, let's say people born after 1990, which is a lot of people that will be watching this film.
Right.
So what do they need to know about the time that this film was made, the set?
Well, I mean, you know, look, it has a lot of elements for audiences today to be able to relate to it. I mean, they don't have to know anything about the period or the time. They don't have to know even anything about the comic books. You know, there's a lot of action sequences, and it's super fun, and it just goes for 2 hours. You know, and then obviously it honors that period for the people that do know what that time was. You know, and I think one of the nice things that, you know, he's been around for 70 years. This character, that, you know, that people have known. Hopefully, some of the older generations that remember him a certain way can go and see and kind of relate to that.
Last question, do you have a favorite gadget or piece of technology that you can't live without?
I really like my iPad, I have to say. I really do.
Do you have the 2 or the first?
Yeah, I do have the 2.
Do you have the 2?
Yeah.
You like the use of the, do you use the camera on the iPad at all? Do you do any FaceTime?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Okay.
much more than that, it's more about like sort of the, you know, watching the movies and like Netflix and things like that.
The patriotism that appears in the film isn't really that, the same thing doesn't really exist in Australia as far as the flag waving thing means something kind of different in my country. How do you think that'll translate outside of America?
Well, that will be the, you know, that's always been sort of the controversial question with a film like this and a title like this. I think people need to remember that really was happening in 1944 in America. You know, there was a very different kind of patriotism than there is now. You know, people were also not as aware. They hadn't gone through the wars that have happened since then. You know, and the Vietnam War and the Gulf War and all that stuff. So I mean, you know, we've arrived at a different, complete mindset. But it's important, if you're going to do a movie in 1944, that you understand that people really believe that in this country. So I hope that what they can do is, as opposed to necessarily jump to conclusions that this is a message of 2011, they can just look at it and understand that this is a movie, and it's also historical. And I mean, that's just the history of this country, you know, as the same way that you'd want to do a history about your country.